Uncharted, one of PlayStation's beloved franchises and one of Naughty Dog's most successful projects, with the first game releasing all the way back in 2007, then with 4 more mainstream games releasing over the span of a decade later, I'm here to cover and platinum every single one of them. With a whopping 243 trophies to obtain, my biggest hurdle was summed up with just 2 words: crushing difficulty. A brutal and formidable difficulty that felt impossible at times to beat. Don't believe me yet? Well, okay, alright game, alright. Oh, you've got a fucking... No. If it puts me back... Oh man, these platinums are going to be excruciating to get. Get yourself strapped in because this is going to be a long one. Welcome to Uncharted's Platinum playthrough. The game starts with reporter Elena Fisher and treasure hunter Nathan Drake retrieving Sir Francis Drake's coffin at sea, where they discover his journal pointing to El Dorado, the city of gold. After them being attacked by pirates, Victor Sullivan, the third party of this trio, arrives to rescue them. The boys end up in a rainforest where we get a feel for how most of the levels in the franchise will be like. Point A to B routes where you'll come across various puzzles and situations where it requires a bit of manual thinking to progress onwards. Like doing a little bit of parkour here to reach this rock to create our own entrance into this tomb-like area. You'll also come across the game's only collectible, that being treasures. We get our first one of the game that gives us a first trophy, that being, well, first treasure. Yeah, not the most inventive name for a trophy, but expect that to be a normal occurrence throughout the series. Nate and Sully encounter the game's main antagonists, Gabriel Roman and his mercenary Atok Navarro, who kills Sully as a warning to Nate. Forced to retreat, he runs into Elena, but with enemies in pursuit, they must escape quickly. As we make our escape, we do check off first of many combat-related trophies, that being Headshot Expert for getting 5 headshots in a row. They then reach Elena's very poorly disguised Jeep as the two make their exit from the island. From one vehicle to another, we are quickly ejected from this one since we get shot out of the sky as Nate is strung up in a tree by his parachute, and with no sign of the plane wreck or Elena, we gotta go find her. Whilst on this search, we run into many of Roman's men, which in a way helped us a ton, since I got the 20 headshots trophy for getting, well, 20 headshots. Then I got 50 kills with the PM 9mm pistol, which gave me that trophy. Along with all that gunfire, I also found my 10th treasure, unlocking the Novice Fortune Hunter trophy. So as we scale this massive fortress, it's filled to the brim with goons, but allows me to grind to 100 headshots, which unlock that trophy. So as we go further inside, getting constantly peppered by bullets, we managed to obtain a few more weapon-specific kills along the way. After popping yet another weapon trophy, they managed to reach the boat that they spotted earlier, but annoyingly, it wasn't unoccupied. But Elena is more pressed on what she has to show Nate. Okay, so Navarro has a helicopter. Oh look, there's Roman, and wait, what, Sully? Huh, there is something very suspicious going on, and I don't like it. Nate doesn't believe that Sully is the backstabbing kind, so he brushes it off and worries about it later. We head back upriver towards the monastery as nightfall falls upon us, and we manage to find a few guards who seem to be keeping an eye on Sully. The guards spot Nate and Elena, but it isn't too soon till we clear the room out, saving Sully. Turns out old Francis's journal took a bullet for him. Ah, you lucky bastard. After finding my 20th treasure of the game, we find a skeleton which is in fact Sir Francis Drake himself, meaning that he never actually found the treasure. Question is though, what stopped him? Well, Eddie shows up again, acting very spooked as he is running from not someone but something. Now these Smeagol looking creatures aren't going to let us out alive. Luckily if you need shotgun kills then this is the best place to do it since these guys just endlessly spawn. Unfortunately Eddie gets a bit too cocky as we try to save him but soon gets pulled to the depths below with his golden deagle too. Ah, I wanted that. Now, with no power to this area, Nate heads off to restore it as we run into even more of these things. Hey, at least there were plenty of MP40 guns laying around, making it easy to get the 30 kills trophy for it. After restoring the power, of course the damsel in distress gets herself captured, also losing the map of where El Dorado got taken to, so looks like we gotta go rescue her again. With waves of both demons and our men, we farm plenty of kills here, unlocking 3 more weapon trophies while also getting the 250 headshot trophy as well. Okay, let's chill for a sec. That was a lot of action all in one go. Ooh, another treasure. Well, at least that's half of them done. Reaching the home stretch, we finally spot El Dorado for the first time. But, as expected, we weren't the first to reach it. Held at gunpoint, we all witnessed Roman opening the casket to reveal not only a body, but the curse itself. Navarro actually tricks Roman as he turns into a demon himself before taking a bullet to the dome. Ah, a cheeky double cross done perfectly. Hats off to you, sir. With the treasure secured, he makes his exit as we fight our way through more demons, before Nate throws himself onto the treasure that gets flown away. Luckily, Elena can hold her own as she gets the pilot killed, which brings the helicopter crashing down, directly onto the landing point. Huh, that was was lucky. Now, this final chapter of the game is extremely challenging. Navarro and his powerful weapon can kill you instantly. Yeah, I doubled my death count here, definitely. Whilst that is expected at the end, the destructible wooden covers does make surviving very tough. So you have to balance your speed with patience to take up Navarro's men. Finally making it to the crash site to find Elena unconscious, the two brawl away as Nate gets the upper hand at first, but Navarro was quicker. Second time around, we are quick enough as we deliver a final uppercut, knocking him out and therefore ending the game. We of course get the 4 difficulty trophies for beating the game on crushing, as Nate saves Elena from the wreckage, but with an awoken Navarro in the perfect spot, Nate ends things for good. Sully shows up to take the two to safety. Clearly he'd been very busy with all that treasure he gathered, so I guess things all worked out in the end.
Sully, you beautiful son of a bitch!
So by the end of my first playthrough, I'd obtained a total of 21 trophies, which I'd say wasn't too bad since the remaining trophies I had left were all collectible and combat based, then along with the speedrun trophies too. So to start off nice and easy, I only had 3 weapon trophies left to get, being the Micro 9mm, the M79, and then the Desert 5. Then I had a few melee trophies to get, all 3 related to getting a certain number of kills using the brutal combo by simply pressing square, triangle, square in that order. Then I had both the Steel Fist and Steel Fist Expert trophies that required me to kill 5 and 10 enemies in a row, but with a single punch after weakening them using gunfire. Slightly more tricky to get, but using a pistol will be your easiest solution in getting them. Next up, specifically in Chapter 4, there is a guy who has his back turned to you, which you can obviously sneak up on him and kill him stealthily. For the Master Ninja trophy, you have to do this to 50 enemies. And with this game not treating stealth as a massive deal, this poor guy is the only person you can get these kills with. So yeah, he gets his neck snapped 50 times. Sorry, dude. Now for the rest of the kill specific trophies, which for the most part are not that difficult. You got the Hangman trophy for killing 20 enemies whilst hanging, then the Run and Gunner trophy for getting 50 hipfire kills. Next I managed to get 75 kills without dying, which can be done on easy difficulty. That gave me the Survivor trophy. And now for some slightly more explosive trophies, since I got the Grenade Hangman trophy for killing 10 enemies with grenades while hanging. Then back in Chapter 4, where there is this one area that quite a few dudes huddle up in, which allows me to get 3 kills with 1 grenade, unlocking the Triple Dynamite trophy. Then just repeat this 5 times and then you get the Dynamite Master trophy. Now before we jump into the collectibles, let's just take a quick picture to remember this game by. What a lovely pick of Nate's butt, I must say. So with half of the collectibles already collected, the rest weren't too hard to find since they literally sparkle. I did however find a suspicious but familiar looking egg which unlocked the Relic Finder trophy for me. Then with no more surprising collectibles to come our way, I soon popped the 3 collectible trophies. Then with the Master Thief Collection trophy unlocked once all were found. Now onto the final 3 trophies of this plat, which yes, they are speedrun based, but they aren't as bad as you might think. Now, I managed to obtain both Chapter 5 and Chapter 12's trophies on my first attempt, so I was feeling pretty speedy at this point. Annoyingly, I was 7 seconds too slow for Chapter 16, which meant I had to give it another try. Anyway, I attempted it for a second try and I smashed it out of the park being 40 seconds under the set time, which unlocked the gold trophy as Speedy Reunion, and with that, checking off Uncharted 1 with the Platinum trophy called, well, Platinum. With Uncharted 1 ranking up a total of 201 deaths, if I kept going on like this, then surely I'd be pushing for 1,000 deaths. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, so let's jump into Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2 starts off on a much different wave than the first game, with a bloodied and bruised Nate who doesn't seem to be in the best situation at the moment. As Nate tries to climb his way to safety, we get flashbacks of himself and 2 new protagonists, Harry Flynn and Chloe Fraser, who are planning their next heist for this oil lamp, hoping for clues to lead them to the famous Chintamani stone, somewhere in the hidden city of Shambhala. As a present, Nate makes his way through the snowy blizzard, finding our first treasure of the game again. Cutting to where the game starts, 4 months prior to the train crash, we follow the boys in Istanbul as they make their way through this palace. The game makes stealth a more common thing to use than the first game, and naturally things don't go my way as I do manage to get spotted quite a few times, but I get used to it in the end. They find the oil lamp and smash it to find the remains of some sort of blue resin, which upon lighting it, marking a spot to where the stone may be. Foolishly, we let Harry go first, since he actually betrays us and raises the alarm to our location. We do manage to escape into the sewers, but as we exit, we get caught red-handed, which puts our ass in prison. Luckily, an old friend is here to bail us out. Hey, is it just me or is Sully looking less grey now? Hey, I guess I can't comment out of all people on that. Chloe shows up too, and at first Nate is suspicious of her, but apparently she had nothing to do with what Harry did. So putting that aside and trusting her, the trio head to Borneo, a foresty area which is swarming with armed men who are sweeping the area.
I'm sweating like a hooker in church.
You brought a hooker to church?
We managed to get the Bare Knuckle Brawler trophy for defeating 20 enemies with hand-to-hand combat before we spot Chloe, Harry, and then this dude called Lazarevich. Yeah, if that name doesn't scream evil villain, then I'm not sure what does. The group then end up finding this ritual object called a Furber. Looks like a sick-ass dagger to me, before then heading to their next stop in Nepal, where after managing to find our second precursor egg of the series, and then checking off some combat and weapon-specific trophies of the game, we run into Elena of all people, and this dude called Jeff. Hey, cheers for that tackle, Jeff. Turns out Elena is doing a report on our good old friend Lazarevich. Things get a tiny bit awkward since Drake knows both of these girls very well.
Oh, Elena Fisher. Last year's model.
But they get interrupted, so we'll have to catch up later. After managing to get 5 headshots in a row, we reach the temple. We don't manage to find the stone, but only more clues as to where it would be. So as we make it out, we find Elena and an injured Jeff who can't walk by himself. So as we try and carry him to safety, they get cornered by Harry, where they then come face to face with Lazarevich for the first time.
Did you carry him all the way from the temple? Shame.
Well, that's a nice impression. He takes our map and leaves Harry to finish us off, but Elena has other plans. Deserving of that punch, the two escape them, but Nate doesn't want to leave Chloe behind, and although Elena thinks it's a bad idea, the two go off to find the train that she is on. Then, quickly checking off a few more combat trophies along the way, we find the train, and with some help from Elena, she gives us a ride to help us board it. Still with countless amounts of enemies to get through before reaching Chloe, and 3 more trophies under our belt. We reach the front only to run into Chloe, who holds us at gunpoint before taking a bullet in the stomach, which at first I thought Chloe did it. But once again, Harry had shown up. With the assistance from Chloe, she messes up Harry's second shot as Nate attempts to lose them, but he's only got one option.
Here goes nothing.
Now this explains our situation at the start of the game, as things loop back around to the present day. With some of the guards still alive and looking for us, all we have is this pistol to back us up. Nate passes out from the cold, but luckily gets rescued by this lone stranger called Tenzin. Now, we love Tenzin, but he doesn't speak a word of English. Good thing that Elena is here too to translate for us. So we end up trekking through this icy cave, which in the process we get introduced to the locals. But we notice that the village is under attack, of course by Lazarevich. We do help to defend the village, checking off the M4 trophy, but they up their firepower as this tank crashes the party and makes things just a little bit more difficult for us. With the help of both Tenzin and Elena, we manage to blow the tank up and save the rest of the survivors. Arriving at this monastery, which I can confidently say that this is by far the worst area in the entire game. Hate it, I just hate it. Don't worry though, because getting these 2 trophies definitely cheered me up a bit. Then shortly after obtaining the Master Ninja trophy for a second time, and then getting 50 kills with the M32 grenade launcher, I'm now all warmed up to finally face Lazarevich. Despite arriving too late to stop him from healing and becoming nearly invincible, I actually managed to beat this final boss on crushing difficulty on my first try, by luring him near these resin pods and detonating them. I guess I was just built for this mode. After he begs Nate to kill him, Nate chooses instead to leave him behind as the city collapses. The group then escapes, Elena manages to recover, and their romance rekindles, completing Uncharted 2 and unlocking all 4 difficulty trophies after that. So kicking off the rest of the cleanup, just like in the first game, I chose to tackle the weapon kill trophies first, since some of them are exact copies, but with a few new weapons that they introduced into the second game. Good thing is, they're just as easy to get. Along with those, I also got 250 headshot kills, the Run and Gunner trophy, and also the Survivor trophy. Then after obtaining more reoccurring combat trophies from the first game, yeah, kinda wish they mixed things up a bit with the trophies, but oh well. I snapped my second photo of the series, and then I killed 10 enemies whilst hanging with grenades. Whilst going for these trophies, as like the first game, I was also picking up the remaining treasures that I'd missed, this time with an extra 40 added to this game, so it took a tiny bit longer to collect them. After every set of 20 treasures collected, the trophy started popping. After all 4 of those popped, I obtained the Master Thief Collection trophy, which unlocked once I found the last one. Finally, to end Uncharted 2, just like I did in the first game, I had the 3 speedrun trophies to get. So racing my way through chapters 3, 5, and through the last few carriages in chapter 13, I obtained the 3 speedrun trophies, with Bullet Train from Hell popping as the last one, to then achieve Platinum Trophy number 2. With 2 more deaths more than Uncharted 1, we move over to the third game of the trilogy. We start the third game off with both Nate and Sully, who arrive in this good old English pub as they are selling Francis Drake's ring. The buyer being this suspicious looking fellow called Talbot. Now damn, that's a lot of cash. Too bad the notes appear to be fake, so refusing to make the deal happen and wanting to leave, the duo are attacked from the pub's regulars. Not quite sure why every person in this building has no hair, but that's not going to change my decision in knocking every one of them clean out. Then, making it 3 for 3 with treasure finds, we head out and get cornered by who Talbot is working for, Miss Catherine Marlowe, who takes the ring and puts a bullet in both of us. Without any explanation on the aftermath after that, in classic Uncharted fashion, we flash back 20 years to a much younger Nathan Drake, taking an early interest in history as he spots a very familiar looking ring. We return later that evening to take it, but we get caught once more. Seems like Sully and Marlowe were partners during this time. And in the end, we managed to escape Marlowe's men, luckily with the help of Sully, putting a bullet in the henchman before doing that to us. Returning back to the present day where Charlie, the guy that shot them, was actually on our side, with some trickery and some blank bullets. We then meet up with Chloe, who was on lookout for where Marlowe's car went, that being through this hidden underground entrance. We fight through a few more enemies where I get 5 headshot kills in a row, unlocking that trophy. Then we catch up to them as they realise that the ring that they got was actually a fake. Ha, sneaky Nate. Since we have the real one, we crack this cipher and figure out our next plan of action. Unfortunately, the team start getting shot at, but with my fantastic aim, I get my 20 headshots trophy and manage to escape with the help of Chloe as our getaway driver. We find out that somewhere in the Rub al-Khali desert is a lost city, that being where the immeasurable wealth is and where to find it. So the team's next goal is to split up, with Chloe and Charlie travelling to Syria and then Nate and Sully to France, in search of some more clues to help find that exact location. Annoyingly, as we arrive at the chateau, Marlowe's men manage to beat us to it, which obviously doesn't stop us. Helps me get the bare knuckle brawler trophy though, so that's a plus. Apart from finding half of this amulet with an inscription, we don't really find much here, so we leave France and head over to Syria. Upon arriving and finding my 20th treasure of the game, and then with the help of both Chloe and Charlie, they discover the second half of the amulet, and because Nate is prepared for almost anything, he already had the first half sketched into his journal. Screw you, Talbot. Well, they make it to the surface only to be ambushed by him again, which they do almost make it out in one piece, since as they douse the tower in gasoline and ignite the fire, Charlie attempts to jump to safety, breaking his leg in the process. As Sully helps to support Charlie, we have to clear out the enemies for them, luckily managing to grab a few more combat and weapon trophies along the way. So both Nate and Sully take a trip to Yemen in need of a tour guide. Nate doesn't seem too pleased to go through with it, since that person is in fact Elena. Since the end of Uncharted 2, they had actually gotten married but then split soon after. During their tour of Yemen, the group encounters Talbot again, still seeking the same goal. The boys get into a scuffle as Nate gets the upper hand, but takes a 4x4 to the face. Ouch! He ends up waking up in an unknown location, tied up in the presence of this pirate called Rameses. He still tries to pry the location from Nate, but he ain't having none of it, as he breaks from his restraints and brawls with the guards. So we find ourselves in some sort of ship graveyard in the middle of nowhere, but hey, at least there are waves of enemies scattered across this area, meaning more kills for us and more trophies to obtain. So this is by far the best place to grind for these combat trophies if you are missing any. Along with finding my 40th treasure of the game, we do actually find Sully, but he's got no heads. Oh, it was a fake. Okay, my bad. Turns out they never had Sully to begin with. So with that anger built up inside of him, Nate goes out with a bang as he explodes the boat, slowly sinking it. Rameses then finishes off the job, shooting out the glass, killing himself and hoping to take Nate down with him. But we get washed up on the shore of the Yemen village. He makes his way back to Elena, where I think after all that, he deserves a well-needed rest. Later that evening, they learn of a plane that is flying directly over the desert, so that's going to be their way of transport. Being fueled on a nearby runway, we try our best to sneak our way in undetected. But I finally get caught, so I start smashing out the headshots. Thinking we got in unnoticed, we're caught and beaten up by a brute, who eventually gets defeated by some cargo. In the series' most iconic scene, Nate manages to climb his way back to the cargo hold, but it's too late as he gets sucked out, and the plane crashes into the sand below. Lost without food, water or direction, Nate hallucinates under the harsh sun before finding shelter. The next day, he manages to stumble upon a seemingly abandoned settlement, which turns out to be real, but notices that Marlowe's men are nearby, confirming that he's in the right place. Overcome by the sheer amount of enemies, we get saved by a few men riding on horseback who offer to help, and good thing they understand English too. And after obtaining the M9 trophy, we do find and save Sully from the clutches of this brute. After pushing through by far the worst area in the game, I ain't even gonna go into how awful this part is, we finally arrive at the game's final stage, the Atlantis of the Sands. Wow, what a breathtaking view to stare at. Later on, I managed to get the Tau Sniper trophy, before then catching up to Talbot and Marlowe, who want this brass vessel containing the souls of the Jinn. Nate, however, destroys the crane, sending the vessel into the depths and causing a city-wide collapse, trapping both Nate and Marlowe in the sand. He makes it to safety, but by this point, she's done for, since she pleads for him to save her. Whether it's the right or wrong thing to do, he does try to, but she gets sucked under the sand, along with his ring. It's fine. fine though, a certain Firefly will find it years later, I'm sure. The two make it to the surface but are halted by Talbot for a final time, since he doesn't care about getting out. Looks like he's just the one hungry for revenge this time. Now for this final boss, it's not the best of the three, but I would rank it better than one since it does require a lot of time dodging and punches when you can land them. I do take a few knife slashes here and there, but it's a bit of a lackluster fight, since Sully lands a shot on Talbot which saves Nate for the time being. Nate then returns the favour as we light this bitch up and with plenty of pistol rounds, putting an end to this madness and reuniting it with Marlowe. The game ends with our crushing trophy and the 3 other difficulty trophies popping along with it. To end Uncharted 3 in the trilogy, although Nate lost his ring, Sully managed to keep hold of Elena's, and as the two rekindle their marriage with a nice old happy ending. Sully even gets a new plane. Everyone's happy. So to kick off the post-story cleanup in normal fashion, I smash out the rest of the weapon trophies, being the easiest to get. Then, after obtaining some more reoccurring trophies from the previous 2 games, it was very nice to actually have some new trophies to try and go for. But just to warn you, there are quite a few, so I'm just going to rinse straight through them. Right, firstly, I got the Sidearm Master trophy for getting 30 kills in a row with my sidearm. Then Brute Beater for taking no damage whilst defeating a brute. My personal favourite, he's going to need a Sturgeon for slapping 3 enemies with a fish. Then Land Shark for killing 20 enemies while swimming. Speaking of swimming, anyone for a game of Marco Polo? No, just me. Next up, after killing 5 Riot Shield enemies by running over their shield, unlocking the Riot Rocket trophy, I had to get 10 kills by alternating between combat and gunfire. Okay, that's a more unique trophy. I like that. Then with the last few combat trophies left being Reload Master for killing 50 enemies without auto-reloading, and then with the new grenade throwback feature, which in my opinion was a very good addition to the game, I killed both 10 enemies and also 2 with 1 grenade to get those 2 trophies as well. Finally, we're done with all of those. Whew, that was a lot. Now to end off the rest of the trophies on a fairly easy note, I of course was collecting the rest of the treasures during this entire playthrough, which I obtained the 3 that I was yet to obtain, then along with the Master Thief Collection trophy, and because I wasn't thorough enough, I may have missed this relic. Whoops. So I went back and got that. Lastly, after taking a 3rd picture and adding it to the album, I had chapters 7, 16 and 20 to speed through to unlock those 3 trophies. Definitely the easiest set of speedrun trophies out of the 3 games, plus they also give you a lot of time to get through them. So after the last one popped, we had obtained our 3rd platinum trophy of the video. Another 220 deaths to my total. Maybe the original trilogy is a bit more harsh on me, so hopefully I can do better in these next 2 games. So Uncharted 4, here we go. We start off with Nate and his brother Sam in a high-speed boat chase, being swarmed by enemies which results in them being thrown into the ocean by an incoming ship. Then we flash back to a young Nate and Sam as the two slip their way out of St. Francis's orphanage, since this is where their treasure hunting dreams started to become real. Then fast forwarding 8 years before the events of the first game, we find Nate in a Panamanian prison getting his ass beat. Don't worry, we get in a few good punches of our own before the fight gets broken up. The guard who broke it up, Vargas, appears to be working with Nate since whatever he is looking for is located up in that tower. And of course, Vargas ain't doing this for free. It's fine, we won't tell him about finding our first treasure of the game. We end up finding some sort of crucifix with some Latin writing on the back. Then returning back to Vargas and admitting that we found nothing, he takes us back to the courtyard where we meet up with Sam and this new character called Rafe. The 3 try to figure out the importance of the crucifix before being ambushed by the guy that Nate was fighting earlier. This fight results in the 3 being taken into Vargas's office, which upon discovering that Nate lied to him, Rafe kills him without any hesitation. Damn, that was a bit dark, no? This leads into the 3 attempting to escape. I say attempting because as Nate tries to pull Sam to safety, he gets a bullet in the back before losing his grip and crashing down. Later on, at Casa della Nate, we get a cool sequence where we can examine all the different treasures and findings from the previous 3 games. A very nice touch to reminisce on past times. Nate also lets his hair down, so we get the Still Got It trophy for shooting these 4 hanging targets. We then find Nate working overtime at his office as he is visited by Sam? The hell did he survive? Turns out we get another little flashback where we see after he heals from his wound, he was actually cell buddies with a drug cartel leader called Hector Alcazar, who helps him to escape, but as payment, he demands half of the treasure. So with no other option, he persuades Nate to be on board, which means lying to Elena. You know that never ends well, Nate. Oh well, on to chapter 6, where we are in Italy, where the real crucifix is being sold at an auction, and with the help from good old Sullivan, who just like everyone else looks insanely good in this game, he keeps an eye on the item whilst Nate and Sam aim to cut off the lights. Looks like they aren't alone either. This mercenary called Nadine Ross is also interested in the crucifix too, just like our old friend Rafe. Now, this is a bit awkward, isn't it? Unaware of what the boys are up to, the lights get cut off for mere seconds before everyone realizes that the cross is missing. Very slick, Sully, I must say. Now, with alarms ringing and armed men around every corner, I managed to pop both the head of the class and you have a head for this business trophy for getting 20 and 50 headshots. After escaping in the getaway vehicle, the brothers head to Scotland in search to find Avery's grave, located somewhere at St. Damas's Cathedral. Along the way, we get to practice our stealth skills and with a new jumping attack, which is a very nice addition to the game, which unlocks us the trophy Stealth First, Ask Questions Later. Finding Avery's grave, where, along with our first note collectible, yes, there aren't just treasures to collect now. Yay, I know, right? Turns out there is a hidden cave nearby that we must head to. Sneaking our way past more mercenaries whilst getting the Sleek Now trophy too, we make our way into the cave and inside find not just our first journal entry, unlocking the Jots This Down trophy, and also some treasure-like coins, which we must only take one of for safekeeping. They discover a map which points them towards Madagascar and onto Chapter 10. At the end of the chapter, we reach a tower, where inside we discover a statue of St. Dismas that points us towards two different towers down at Kings Bay. So with Sam heading to one, Nate and Sully head to the other, where we get greeted by the locals and their produce. Ooh, an apple. Looks like we aren't the only ones that need our 5 a day. Arriving at the tower and making the climb, which, as mentioned in previous videos, there would be no amount of money in the world to make me go this high, especially if the outcome is the whole inner works of this clock tower crashing down to the bottom. It does reveal a hidden passage, which after finding various different portraits of each founder and then matching the correct symbols to the right location, it gives us a map of an island somewhere in the Indian Ocean. Returning to our hotel room to find Elena, this is even more awkward. She gets very angry after all the lying and storms out. So as Sully chooses to stay behind and look after her, the brothers choose to head out to sea, finding the island that matched to the map. And of course, when there's water in an Uncharted game, you can't not just want to jump in and shout Marco Polo. We reveal a statue of Avery, which after looking through his telescope, it points us to our next location, which in fact loops us back round to when the boys got tipped overboard at the start of the game. Making it to the shore with no Sam or boat in sight, we try and find some sort of signs of civilization. We do see a flashing light in the distance, which must be Sam, so we head in that direction. And with Rafe and his men patrolling the coast, we of course run into more of them. Spent a good hour on this section, losing what I had left of my sanity, but hey, at least I pulled 20 enemies off a ledge, which unlocked the cliffhanger trophy. So that kind of made things better. We eventually run into Sam, where the two discovered the one and only Libertalia, the long-lost pirate utopia. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. After doing more exploring, they find another map, this time on the ceiling, because, you know, where else would you find one? It shows many different mansions which actually belong to all 12 founders. So wanting to get a better look, taking in the incredible sights whilst doing so, they spot the mansions in the distance, but obviously things don't go as smoothly as Nadine catches us and bullies us for a second time. Even a 2-on-1 and she still beats the crap out of them. They do manage to get a gun pointed towards her, but Rafe spoils the party. This is the twist where we find out that everything about Sam, Alcazar and the prison outbreak was a complete lie. Alcazar actually died 6 months ago, and that Rafe had bribed the warden to let Sam out. Oh, Sam, you in the shit now. He kind of makes up for it by taking a bullet for Nate, but I think Nate comes out worse than that. Oh, that's gotta hurt. We get our last flashback of the game where we follow the younger brothers after the events of the first chapter. We do manage to find our 50th treasure of the game, which pops the Treasure Hunter trophy. Now, besides that trophy, not really much happens during this whole chapter. We flash back to the present day when Nate was actually telling that story to Elena. For some reason, she was just having a stroll through the island, and luckily running into a bruised Nate. She patches him up and the two make their way towards New Devon in hopes to find Avery's home. Elena plays a part as she helps me perform 10 combo buddy takedowns, unlocking the Wingman trophy, or I guess the Wing Woman trophy. Sadly, that didn't save my life, but I'll take it. We then manage to spot Sam, who is being pursued by more armed men, so we do our part and try and help him. Many deaths later, yes, I never want to experience this area ever again, I do get the Run and Gunner trophy for getting 50 blind fire kills. Then soon after that, this gold trophy that I'll let Streamjack handle this one. Oh, Ludo narrative dissonance. Hey, defeat 1,000 enemies, we got it. I couldn't have said it better myself. Then finally, Boom County for getting a quad kill with a grenade. See, I could say that one correctly. With the four reunited and ready to get the hell off this island, Sam is still too greedy to find Avery's treasure. So after this collapsing platform, it separates the group, so he runs off. And obviously being the great brother that Nate is, he attempts to follow Sam. We soon follow to find out that Sam had booby-trapped the entire place, which resulted in him being pinned down, whilst Rafe and Nate are at a standoff. They also notice that both both Tu and Avery's bodies lay here with swords sticking out of them, all because of their greed for treasure. So the boys recreate the fight as they both wield their swords and begin the final boss fight, the coolest and most unique of the entire series. Now there is a trophy for beating this fight flawlessly, but I had a tough time on this difficulty, having to dodge Rafe's directional attacks whilst pressing the matching buttons to dodge them, getting faster as the fight goes on. I racked up plenty of deaths, but that just makes the fight more memorable and challenging. Eventually Nate does get beaten with his sword being broken, but with the blunt blade, he finishes this rivalry in sweet fashion.
You want the treasure, Rafe? It's all yours.
Then with the help of flooding the boat, we pull Sam from the wreckage and the two swim to safety, meeting back up with Sully and Elena, leaving Avery's treasure to be submerged forever. We get a sweet ending as Nate and Elena finally hang up their treasure hunting shoes. Sully and Sam form a cool little partnership since they got a few good years still left in them. We then find out that Jameson is selling his business to Nate, since Sam had slipped some treasure into Elena's pocket. Sam, what a great older brother you are. Means they can now live a normal and risk-free life. You may think the game ends there, but we get another gamer crash in before finding out that they had a daughter called Cassie. She finds many of Nate's previous findings from all 4 games, in which he has many stories to tell her. As much as I'd love to hear them for myself, I'm more focusing on the endgame trophies, since we get our crushing trophy along with the other 4, completing Uncharted 4, leaving us with 1 game left to do. But first, as always, more post-story trophies are still left to obtain, and although I didn't do a great job during the first playthrough, unlocking only 21 out of 52, the reason for that is because the trophy list is much more unique than the previous 3, meaning it requires a little bit more time put into getting these last set of trophies. So let's smash out the collectibles first, since although we have our normal amount of treasures to get, which pops the Treasure Master trophy, and then also the Relic Finder trophy for picking up some mysterious looking fruit, we also have both the Lost Art of Journaling and Lost History trophies for collecting all the journal notes and entries. Then there is the Gifted Gab trophy for interacting with all optional conversations. Then lastly, I guess technically not a collectible, but you still have to find and use every weapon in the game, including these explosive propane canisters, which I missed, so luckily I popped the trophy upon finding the first one. Next, onto many missable trophies, which obviously I was playing on crushing. This would have made quite a few of them very easily missable anyway. So starting off with our favourite marsupial, you must beat Elena's high score, which I did come very close to failing again, but these games were my childhood. There was no way I was messing up. Then in Chapter 8, after leaving Avery's grave, you must reach the gate without killing anyone or being seen. Did take me a few tries to get, but it didn't take me too long. Then in the next chapter, I got the Trials and Tribulations trophy for completing the water bucket trial in 10 moves or less. Next up in Chapter 11, there are 16 rock cairns scattered across Madagascar, which you need to knock over. Sorry to the person that balanced all of these, but hey, it had to be done. Then in Chapter 12, where the game makes you climb the clock tower, you must climb all the way to the very top and channel your inner Assassin's Creed. Unlocking the trophy, I can see my house from here. Then directly after that, as soon as you reach the bottom, just by standing still in this spot for 30 seconds, you unlock the Stage Fright trophy. Weird, my controller must have disconnected. Right, back on track and onto Chapter 12, where you find 3 dolphins swimming around. Having them follow your boat at the same time unlocks the On Porpoise trophy. Next is the Peaceful Resolution trophy, which requires you to go from Chapter 13 to the very start of Chapter 15 without killing anyone. Sounds pretty awful knowing how bad this area is, but it's very easy to either just run by and tank some damage, or to lose enemy's sight on Explorer difficulty. No chance in hell was I doing this on crushing. Then on to Chapter 17 with Elena, where you must reach the vehicle and escape it without being seen. Again, sounds worse than you think, since you can actually just hug this whole right side to reach it. Just make sure no one jumps in front of you whilst escaping. Right, on to the final trophy of this section. Now, as I mentioned in my first playthrough, I had to defeat Rafe without being hit. As you can see, his attacks are a lot slower this time around, so I made this trophy piss easy. Oh, lastly, let's take a picture to remember all these trophies, shall we, Sully? Best pick so far. Now, with that massive load of trophies ticked off my list, before we move on to the final few, I had some combat-related trophies to get through first. Not so much getting a certain number of kills with said weapons, but more getting the kills in specific ways, like the Rushing Roulette trophy for getting a kill with a pistol, machine gun, and grenade in that order within 15 seconds. And then fairly similar, the Run the Table trophy for performing a stealth attack, melee attack, headshot, and explosion in that same amount of time. Then some quick trophies, like Hangman's Bullet for getting 20 headshot kills from a rope, I Thought I Heard Something for 30 vertical takedowns, Leapfrog for killing 10 enemies in a row whilst using both melee and gunplay. Then after pummeling 5 armoured enemies, obtaining the Hitting a Brick Wall trophy, I checked off Hang Tough for destroying 10 vehicles whilst being dragged from a rope, Butterfingers for making 10 enemies drop their grenades, and then lastly the trophy Defeat 10 in 60 with the China Lake grenade launcher. Now with the final hurdle for this plat, this requires me to play through the game for a final time, but against the clock. Whilst doing that, I had to make sure that my shot accuracy was above 70%, whilst also getting the Unstoppable trophy for killing 100 enemies in a row without dying. Now, because I value my time, I did do this playthrough on Explorer difficulty with aim assist on. Hey, I got through crushing. I deserve to make this as simple for me as possible. So, partly through Chapter 7, I got the Unstoppable trophy without any trouble. Then to top things off, as I finished the playthrough, both the Charted Speedrun and Sharpshooter trophy popped, finishing Uncharted 4... Wait a sec. Where's my plat? Son of a bitch. So, yeah, the PS4 version doesn't do this, but within the Legacy of Thieves collection, I also need to complete Lost Legacy with all of its trophies to obtain the plat for the whole thing. Wow, good thing I was intending on playing it anyway. Being a longer game, and with only 169 deaths to it, so clearly I performed better in the modern games. And surely with Lost Legacy being a lot shorter than Uncharted 4, let's try and keep those deaths down, shall we? So, moving on to the 5th and final installment, we say goodbye to Nate. As for this story, we play as Chloe Fraser, set several months after the events of Uncharted 4 in the southwestern region of India. Finding ourselves in a more rundown part of the town, with many soldiers patrolling the streets and taking any opportunity to stop us from getting to our goal, we make it to the rooftops as we see the real horror of what's happening here, as parts of the city are currently being bombed. Yeah, good thing that's happening over there, but still a terrible thing to witness. After being caught by these soldiers and almost beaten to death, we get saved by Nadine, you know, the arsehole mercenary from the last game. Seems like these two are partners this time. They quietly break into a room filled with rare artifacts and find one in a lockbox. But they are interrupted by Asav, the game's antagonist. Although Asav and Nadine seem to be familiar with each other, he orders his men to kill them. Without hesitating, the two escape unharmed after fleeing through the window. Now, pretty much the rest of the game is set in this Western Ghats area, and I must say, it is visually stunning. Good thing too, because throughout the journey, I would have to take several photos for a trophy that I'll collect later on. And although I went an hour without earning any trophies, I did eventually unlock the trophy's Casual Treasure Finder for finding 5 treasures, Now You See Me for breaking and re-entering stealth, and then Fingersmith for picking a 3-pin lock in under 15 seconds, completely by accident. In Chapter 4, which is the largest area in the entire Uncharted series, you'll be spending a considerable amount of time exploring here. So to start, I managed to open a lockbox with enemies nearby, which unlocked the trophy I Was Never Here, the trophy Were You Counting for defeating an enemy with the last bullet in this clip. Next up, I found my first out of 11 Hoysala tokens, obtaining that trophy. Now, grabbing all 11 of these would unlock a treasure later on, but I kind of messed up, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Next up was 5-finger discount for opening 5 lockboxes. Then, after some insane combo swinging, I got the trophy Jungle Gym for performing 5 grapples in a row. And then finally, to remember this momentous location, I snapped my 5th picture of the game unlocking the #NoFilter trophy. So, here's the bad news. Now, although I did find all 11 of those tokens, you know, gold star for me by the way, I thought the way to progress the story is that I had to go up to that massive tower in the center. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So after doing all 3 towers and then unlocking this massive gate, I'll let Stream Me handle this. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I think I've gone the right way by accident. Oh no. Oh. Yep, there is a trophy for the tokens, Jack. Idiots. So, as much as I wanted to head back, I was locked into Chapter 5, so I could only continue forwards. So after climbing the massive Ganesha statue, once inside, I solved this light puzzle in under 10 moves or less, and earned the Shadow Theatre trophy. Though there was no tusk, I used the stolen key to escape a flooding pit. And now, because that water was flowing through the aqueducts, I managed to grab the Marco Polo trophy by jumping in the water. Wasn't intended, but lucky I got it. And despite taking fire from Asav's men, I earned the Bring in the Big Guns trophy for 30 gold weapon kills before dying soon after. Believing that they had escaped, Chloe and Nadine face Asav in their first real fight, but they are easily defeated and tossed into the aqueduct. After returning to the surface, they find Asav and Sam? Wait, what? Oh, well that sparks Nadine's anger due to the history she has with Sam, but Chloe reveals that Sam is working with her up until his capture. Furious with her, Nadine leaves Chloe behind to pursue Asav alone. We attempt to catch up with her, but we manage to run into this APC vehicle, so the only way around this is with C4, which we can find in these lockboxes. I would recommend taking out the soldiers first, since it makes it a lot easier to sneak around. Did take me a few tries, but I soon blew it up and then caught back up with Nadine, where although she was still mad at us, she agrees to go on with Chloe but keeps an eye on us. We do find the tusk, but not the one we're looking for. So as we find this poor elephant trapped under a pillar, so with any morals, we free it before accidentally using it as a ride. Soon to be reunited with its family. A nice wholesome moment that kind of reminds me of the giraffe from The Last of Us. After discovering this hidden city, we rudely get interrupted by Asav's men. The platform under them comes crashing down, with them quickly following. Reunited with Sam, Nadine ain't too happy about that. The trio are then tied up and used by Asav to help in the retrieval of the tusk. Damn, that's a shiny tusk. No wonder he wanted it so badly. With this mission complete, no thanks to us, Asav leaves the three along with a parting gift. Attempting to drown them, the three work together to reach the surface, even with Nadine saving Sam's life. Who'd have seen that coming? Now, within this next area, my task is to open these orange lock boxes to look for RPGs, which will help me take down Orca's chopper, all while either avoiding or fighting the many patrolling mercenaries. Now, this area took me over 90 minutes due to all the repeated challenges and deaths. Oh, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way that after every shot they spawn more people. What is this? Who thought of this area? Yeah, as you can see, I lost my shit with this area. But despite playing for that amount of time, I did manage only one combat trophy, which is for killing 5 enemies undetected with a science pistol. So that gave me the Chloe Fraser trophy. Finally, after damaging the chopper enough, you must grapple onto it under heavy fire. I was very relieved to finally hit a checkpoint. No. Oh my god, checkpoint. Oh my. Anyway, after all that rage and suffering, I eventually made it up to the chopper and put a stop to Orca, getting the pilot killed and bringing the chopper down to a crashing end. With a close to death Orca, he throws the tusk to them before trying to put a bullet in Nadine. I guess Sam repaid her for that earlier save. With the tusk recovered, you'd think that we're done, but turns out the thing that Asav got from Orca was a bomb, which is heading straight for the city. Oh shit, we gotta save Minu. So with some expert driving by yours truly, ramming 10 vehicles getting the combat racing trophy, we catch up to the train and board it. Takes us a little bit to get near the front of the train due to the onslaught of enemies trying to stop us, but we do eventually come across the bomb. Unable to move it, they try to get ahead of the train and to divert it by switching the tracks. With the danger now prevented, we still gotta go save Nadine from the clutches of Asav, meaning it's final boss time. And without his glasses. Ah shit, he means business. Unfortunately, all this fight involves is a lot of dodging and then combo attacks with Nadine, since he is too strong to fight by ourselves. With some synchronized teamwork from the two, they managed to catch him off guard, slamming him into the bomb which traps his leg under it. And with the bridge ahead out of commission, the girls have done their job as they escape the train, watching it plummet off the end into the chasm with a bang. The trio then end the game with some well-deserved food. Oh, pizza. Which unlocks both the Progress Demand Sacrifice and Legacy Found trophies for completing the game for the first time and also on Crushing. Whew, we are finally done with Crushing for the whole series. Very enjoyable and challenging, but some areas just seem like they're impossible. With the 5th and final campaign done, and a very lame 16 out of 49 trophies obtained, I wasted no time in finishing up the series for good. So, starting off with the collectibles, I chose to correct a previous mistake that I had made, collecting the treasure that you get for collecting all 11 Hoysala tokens. The reward you get isn't just the Yas Queen trophy, you also get a bracelet that vibrates every time you get close to a treasure. And with collecting my 35th treasure of the game, I then opened the last lockbox that I was missing, found and used every single weapon in the game, took a photo at every photo opportunity, listened to all optional conversations, and whilst hunting for the rest of the treasures, finding this Last of Us Easter egg, unlocking that trophy, I found my very last collectible, not just of this game, but of the whole series, unlocking the Collector of Antiquities trophy. Now onto the combat trophies, so let's just smash these out. So to start, I defeated 10 enemies in a row with headshots, then I defeated 20 enemies firing from the hip, and 20 enemies blind firing from cover, performed 10 combo partner takedowns, defeated 5 enemies using a handgun, long gun, and melee on each of them, destroyed a vehicle whilst in Chapter 9 with an explosive, took down 10 armoured enemies with stealth without being detected, got a bit handy with some C4 by defeating 20 enemies, and then defeating 4 with just 1 C4 explosion, took down 15 enemies in a row using stealth, then defeating 4 enemies using a vehicle, long gun, melee, and a grenade within 20 seconds, then lastly defeating 20 enemies using a vehicle. I need to get better at getting these sorts of trophies during the main story. Now, onto the final set of trophies before we finish this once and for all. So to start, remember that tower in Chapter 5 that I completely ignored by accident? Well, if you climb to the very top, Chloe shows off her impressive balance skills as we unlock the Your Prize trophy. Then I crept my way through the Trident Fort area without being seen, which gave me the Quiet as a Mouse trophy. Shortly after that, I got past all 3 Axe Fort trials without failing, unlocking the Flawless Gauntlet trophy. Don't try this at home, but I then drove my vehicle over the Western Ghats Edge, getting the Let's Not Get Caught trophy. And because this added to my total airtime, I needed 30 seconds worth in total, so I just repeated the process. Good thing I got my vehicle back, since I then had to drive from the Ganesha mountain carving all the way to the Trident Fort and then back within 3 minutes. Managed to do this first time, so clearly I was the best driver in the business. Then my idiotic self discovered that there was actually a marking system in the game. Oh, how that would have helped so much in this area. Don't just mean my sanity. So I marked 30 enemies, unlocking the On the Grid trophy. With this system, this then helped me blow up the helicopter without killing any enemies, which unlocked the Right Under Your Nose trophy. Then after jumping in 6 vehicles and commandeering them, unlocking the backseat driver trophy, I returned all the way back to chapter 1 where I had to ride all 4 zip lines in the city. I then chose to relax a bit, so I performed an impressive dive which unlocked the cannonball trophy, then had to destroy the APC with 1 explosion by using multiple C4s at the same time. Now finally, to end off this sensational platinum journey, we tackled the last trophy, the Way of the Warrior. So I pretty much need to make a fresh game and make it all the way to chapter 5 without using an explosive or firing a single bullet. Now it does sound like a painful trophy to get, but you tackle very few enemies before you even get to chapter 4. It only took me maybe a few hours to get to the end of chapter 4, and thus ending it once and for all. We get Don't Ruin the Moment, which is for collect all the trophies in Uncharted The Lost Legacy, and finally, an actual proper platinum trophy, a Thief's Legacy, which is for collecting or collect all the trophies. Well, there you have it. 243 trophies and a whopping 858 deaths later, all 5 Uncharted games are finished and platinumed. Now, aside from the crushing trophies, I didn't really have any trouble with the rest. They're all pretty simple and straightforward, and although the first 3 games had a lot of repetitive ones, 4 and Lost Legacy made up for it with some more unique ones. Overall, I had a blast playing through the series. Now, if you enjoyed this new concept where I cover an entire series in one video, then let me know your thoughts and suggestions for future franchises. And to all of you that have stuck around to the very end of this video, thank you all so much. Now, for what's next on the channel, well, you'll be happy to know I'm returning back to the Resident Evil franchise with Resident Evil 5. So if you're looking forward to that, then make sure you do subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on it. Also, like the video as always if you did enjoy it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video.